Welcome to SAD TV News. I'm Alicia George, your presenter. In our top stories, student dies following traffic collision. Establishment of regional sustainable energy promotion centers in Caribbean, Indian Ocean, and the Pacific Seas. Death toll climbs as protests still rage in Venezuela. And in sports, Pottersville Youth Soccer Academy registered third victory. Details of these will follow. The Insights, a new online newsletter, was officially launched on Thursday, March 20th, 2014. The newsletter, a product of members from the Dominica State College's Journalism Club, features a site with a modern design not typically encountered on Dominican-based websites. The Insight can be found at www.dst.dm/theinsight, and categories include news, education, sports, technology, and entertainment.
The other categories include the feature, which highlights the work of an outstanding person, thing, or event ever so often. The club corner, which shows us what's going on in different clubs on campus. And the creative corner, which showcases the talents of all our students, staff of DSC, and the public at large. The Inside newsletter is always open to article submissions and commentary from the public, which by implication makes you all members of the Journalism Club.
President of the club, Ms. Jelani Leta, added that the website provides an avenue for writers and reporters to the college. To coincide with the new launching, members of the institution also presented the topic for their second political forum, scheduled to take place later this year as part of the school year's calendar of events.
The title of this forum is The Future of the National Economy, a Hope for the Youth. This forum serves to educate the younger electorate on an issue which is extremely pertinent and give them a wider scope and comprehension of the solutions put forward by both sides, with special regard given to the topic of unemployment. This is even more important to students at the Dominica State College who are soon going to be on the job market.
The first forum covered the topic legislation of marijuana, overdue law, or underdone myth. The club also launched its third annual masquerade ball, administered under the theme A Night in Paris. In more news, 4 persons have been awarded for their contribution to the development of French in Dominica at the recently held French Festival. The event, hosted at the Goodwill Primary School, also recognized the top French students of every primary school.
This year our awardees are Dwayne Drago, who is a teacher at the Massac Primary School, Elisa Gist Matthew, who is a teacher at the St. Martin's Primary School, and Mr. Ross Loramol, who is a former French teacher who now works in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and Miss Michael Henderson for her contribution towards the development of French through music.
The event formed part of activities to commemorate French Week and Francophone Month.
We also have students performing in song, dance. Some of them are doing some poetry, some skits, and we are also presenting the contestants for the 2014 Mademoiselle Francophonie pageant, which will be held on the 29th of this month to culminate the activities for Francophone Month, and that will be held at the Arawak House of Culture. We are also having a display of Francophone flags, which has just happened, and we will also be having a competition among the primary schools in their spelling.
Last year, the Atkinson Primary School won the quiz competition. Prizes include a package from Digital, and a trip for 2 compliments L'Express Diesel, among others. In other stories, the government of Dominica, as part of the National Employment Strategy, has undertaken a new project to commence community employment initiatives geared at maintaining and stimulating the lives of young persons in various communities across the island. On Thursday, March 20th, representatives of the Ministry of Employment, Trade, Industry and Diaspora Affairs donated farming tools and equipment to the young farmers of Meru.
This is an initiative, I am very happy to say, which started before the National Employment Program, and it is not something that we are pushing on to the young people, but it is an initiative that they have come to us with, and we have pledged our support, and we are supporting in 2 areas. We will be providing some tools and equipment which we'll hand over a little bit later, and also to give you a start, to give you a push, we'll be providing stipends to the young men through the National Employment Program for a period of 6 months which will be paid through the St. Joseph Village Council.
This presentation symbolizes the government's commitment to continue to stimulate employment across the island.
The National Employment Program, which was launched in December, has sought to provide employment opportunities for young people, adults alike around the island, and there are several elements of the program, some of which have been launched already and have been in full swing. We have had the internship program, which has been ongoing, which has started from December, and we have almost 200 individuals who are placed with various institutions, both public and private sector organizations around the island.
Ms. Prevo noted that graduates from the entrepreneurship training programs in hospitality, stone cutting, manicure and pedicure, and culinary arts have already been placed with hospitality institutions.
To date, we have about 93 individuals from the apprenticeship training program who have been employed under the program. Some of the individuals who have graduated are already employed, so they've not been placed, but we've pretty much been able to place at least 90% of those who've graduated from that program.
Honorable Kelva Daru, parliamentary representative for the constituency, says this initiative will go a long way towards the advancement of the agricultural sector in Dominica.
When I first became the Member of Parliament for the area, I always saw Miro as an area that we can use for agriculture. And some of the young men were very eager and interested in this sector. And I recall we had several meetings. And coming from these meetings, we took a decision that we would work together towards the advancement of the productive sector here in the community. Some of the young men were already engaged in agriculture, having access to land and farms, and they were already producing, but they wanted now to go to another level.
He commended the young men who have taken this initiative on board and encouraged them to continue to create avenues for further employment. The Ministry of Agriculture will provide support, and the NEP unit is expected to coordinate the program. In more news, Prince Paul, a student of the Northeast Comprehensive School, was pronounced dead upon arrival at the Marigat Hospital following a vehicular accident at Kalibishi about 4:30 p.m. on March 20, 2014. The accident involved Nissan pickup registration number PD722, driven by Patrick Sillinford of Woodford Hill. Paul, age 14 of Kalibishi, was riding a bicycle in the opposite direction when they collided. He sustained multiple injuries and was transported to the hospital by the fire and ambulance services. A coroner's inquest will be convened and a post-mortem will follow. The investigations are continuing. In other stories, work on the new state-of-the-art Newtown Primary School has begun just months after the Memorandum of Understanding was signed. The school, when completed, will be the first in Dominica with an elevator, an initiative that will make it fully accessible to persons with disabilities. President of the Newtown Primary School Parents and Teachers Association, Mr. Andy Newbeck, said he is delighted that work has finally begun and is progressing nicely.
Well, that was what we have anticipated for the last 7 years, and it's very elating that actually something is happening. Okay, I mean, the move that we underwent at the beginning of the year from Newtown to Bath Estate already signaled something happening. But to actually see construction, that is very nice.
Mr. Newbeck noted the excavation work began a week ago, digging some of the mountain behind the school to make the area safe for the children.
I haven't really had a chance to talk to too many parents at this point in time because the construction is quite recent. But whoever I talk to has a big smile in their face. So it is a positive response, very much so.
Mr. Newbeck noted this school was one that was much needed, as the students were being forced to learn in an environment that was not conducive for learning. The roof of the 30-year-old school constantly leaked, doors were broken, and the compound was very dusty.
Well, it's the state of the art, first of all, being a new building. It will have three stories. There's supposed to be 14 classrooms. There is a kitchen area, there is a recreational area, there is a nurse's room, offices, secretary as well as principal. I'm not sure exactly what is going to happen in terms of the sports area, but where the old school is now, That will be erased, and there's supposed to be a hard court, some other features. That's basically what we're looking at. The school will have an elevator so that universal access, okay, because this is something that worldwide all public buildings are supposed to have access for everybody. That means people with disabilities as well. Now, our school will feature an elevator so that children who have impairments can reach the 3rd floor.
He is appealing to the relevant authorities to keep moving as fast as possible to complete the construction, as the students are temporarily housed in Bath Estate, an area where an increased number of persons are infected with the chikungunya virus. Contractor Mr. Romel Tavernier, who is in charge of the excavation works at the school, says the excavation will be completed very soon.
As you can see, we're stabilizing the land, so when the children and them play, they have no fear about it. We're cutting it, shelving it, in 3 different shelves, safety shelf.
He said the full excavation works is estimated for 2 weeks, followed by the foundation's construction. The school is expected to be completed in 12 months. The contract for the construction of the school, at a cost of $6 million, was signed on Wednesday, October 9, 2013. Approximately 300 students and 17 teachers will benefit from the new facility. In more news, a consultation on the National Gender Policy on Equality and Equity, organized by the government of Dominica through the Bureau of Gender Affairs, a subsidiary to the Ministry of Social Services, Community Development and Gender Affairs, in collaboration with VF Inc., was hosted at the Fort Young Hotel today, Friday, March 21, 2014. The policy, which was adopted by the government of Dominica in 2006, seeks to manage a public education and awareness strategy to promote gender equity, equality, social justice, and sustainable human and economic development.
And in the last 2 years, there have been renewed efforts, to make the policy a living, breathing document, to also allow for input of all persons in terms of leading to a review of the policy. Last year, VF Inc., we signed a contract with the Bureau of Gender Affairs, Ministry of Social Services, to assist with the sensitization of the policy as well as some of the work of the Bureau of Gender Affairs.
According to Dr. Henry, it has become vital to push for gender equality in an age where data has shown increased violence among women and young women at that.
In fact, when we look at the data in Dominica on violence and abuse, yes, it's violence against women, it's against the female, but the data is really stark and worrying because it demonstrates that out of that violence, while 85% being women, 75% of that data demonstrates it's young people.
She called on persons to protect our children and our women and lend their voices, hearts and minds for a more just society. Dr. Henry also recognized that men too are being abused.
Main tenets of that policy is something that we as a nation should know as we work together to protect our children, to protect our women, to protect our men, to protect ourselves, our society, so that we can have peace in our society, and with peace we can achieve all that we want to be.
The outcome of the revision of the policy mainly sought to identify areas where the strategy can be included and strengthened. In other stories, many persons have been stating their dissatisfaction with the police as it relates to them failing to report on a matter where it was alleged that a police officer and another individual was charged for a sexual offense. Police Public Relations Officer Inspector John Caban has not made a statement on the 2 recent incidents of alleged sexual assault. Mr. Caban said, and I quote, "It is a fact that 2 individuals have been remanded in custody for the separate incidents," end quote. He quoted Section 38.1 of the Sexual Offense Act No. 1 of 1998, which speaks of anonymity of the complainant and accused. It states any information that is to be made available to the public should be done in such a way that it does not lead members of the public to identify a person as a complainant or accused. Any person who publishes or broadcasts any matter in contravention of Section 38.1 is guilty of an offense and is liable to a fine of $50,000 and imprisonment for 3 years. In more news, Dominica joined in on the activities as the United Nations General Assembly proclaimed 21st March the International Day of Forests. The day was organized in an effort to celebrate and raise awareness of the importance of all types of forests. Dominica's forested areas fall into 5 different categories: forest reserves, national parks, state lands, the Carib territory, and privately owned lands. The first 3 categories, forest reserves, national parks, and state lands, are managed by the Forestry, Wildlife, and Parks Division with an experienced staff whose responsibilities include protection, management and utilization of forest resources, research and education, and management of national parks. This year, the Forestry, Wildlife, and Parks Division, through its Environmental Education Unit, organized activities in observance of this day, including a radio program on the importance and respect that must be given to the forest, and a television discussion on the importance and benefits of the forest. The International Day of Forest was observed for the first time on 21st March 2013. In related stories, the Goodwill Secondary School too formed part of the action on International Day of Forest. 2 forestry officers hosted a PowerPoint presentation at the secondary school titled Reasons for the Conservation and Protection of the Forest at 10 a.m. on Friday, March 21st, 2014. This was followed by a tree planting activity on the school compound.
We spoke about our forest resources, the Central Forest Reserve, the Northern Forest Reserve, the national parks, Mont Diablo, Mont Trois-Pitor, the marine reserves at Scott said, Soufriere. So we're actually trying to protect and conserve what we have in Dominica, because what we have is what we need to use to the benefit of the people. And there are quite a lot of people in Dominica benefiting from the forest.
Mr. Murphy noted that all products of the forest have uses that add to the importance of conserving the forest for future generations. In comparing a tree to the human body, he taught the students that trees are similar to the lungs of a human being, as it absorbs carbon dioxide and converts it into oxygen.
Also, in a means of agroforestry, the trees, when they drop their litter, this litter, it serves as nutrient content for our agricultural produce. So we're actually trying to conserve what we have already.
Mr. Murphy also educated the students on the proper way of growing plants. Agriculture teacher at Goodwill Secondary School, Ms. Yanelle Bruno, was grateful that her students were exposed to such vital information.
They gave the students information on how to go about planting forest trees, as well as they did a small PowerPoint informing them on the different uses of the forest and how they can conserve the forest. They also allow the students to understand the relationship between the forest and agriculture, which is very good because they are all agricultural students who intend to use this information to either attempt CXC or to go on to be agriculturally inclined in the future. It was really informative. I enjoyed it, and we are quite privileged to be the school that was selected to carry out such a vast project. The students were quite interested throughout the entire thing, and as you can see, there are several trees planted around the compound which will help to enhance the surroundings.
The students themselves were delighted by the new information learned.
Today we learned about to preserve the economy of our wildlife of Dominica, such as the Cicero parrot, and we learned skills of how to plant plants and a set of other skills.
I am very happy for this International Day of Forestry, because usually women are not put to do certain things like forestry. We are also, they put us back. We are not usually put out to plant trees. These are usually men's job. And I'm very happy that we had something like this to do. Today it taught us a lot.
In other stories, UE Open Campus on Emsworth Road is the place to be on the evening of Saturday, March 22nd, 2014 from 6 p.m.
I am Matrin Emmanuel from the sister island of St. Lucia. I am on the Caribbean film tour right now, and I'm here in Dominica because Dominica is part of the journey. I am here to screen my free feature films, Ribbons of Blue, Troubled Waters, and Nana's Paradise. Those 3 films are all reflective of our youth's Caribbean life, the social issues affecting our young people within the Caribbean region, and they all bear positive messages. They are also entertaining but also informative.
Give us an idea of the other islands you will be visiting throughout the tour.
I have visited Antigua. The first island to visit was Antigua, and where all 3 films were screened. We had some exciting audiences, and right now I'm in Dominica to screen all 3 films as well. The first screening for the public takes place at the University of the West Indies conference room at 6:30 on Saturday evening.
How did you come up with the idea for such films?
Well, as a school teacher, I was always well acquainted with the social issues affecting our youth. And what I decided to do after I took early retirement from government school was to keep on teaching kids in an indirect manner via the audiovisual medium. So all 3 films, as I said, are message-oriented films, so I'm actually educating our youth through films. Ribbons of Blue, the first movie, it's about a young girl who disowns her mom or her mother because of a low socioeconomic status. In this film, the girl just neglects or abandons her mom after she travels to the UK to study. And while she was there, she got messed up, she got pregnant for a Jamaican guy, and then it was at that point in her life when she hits rock bottom that she realized that, okay, material things really mean nothing, but when you are involved in positive relationships, that means everything.
Send a message to Dominicans inviting them to the event, and why is it important that they should be there?
Well, I'll say that in Creole. We share common culture, the goal, the language is just so close that I think I do have plans to work with your producers here in Dominica. I will be producing my next feature film sometime in the near future, and that will be done with the collaborative efforts of producers not just in St. Lucia, but in Dominica, Antigua, Grenada, and St. Vincent. Mais ici à Dominique, nous avons parlé bon créole. Nous avons dit the University of the West Indies conference room là samedi au soir à 7h30 avec moi ka hope de nous tout ka joindre ensemble. Moi a parler pas toi créole là pour ça pour prendre date que nous ka parler même langage, nous ka parler bon anglais et nous ka parler bon patois. So demain au soir à 6h30 nous ka joindre à University of the West Indies conference room côté nous ka ça joindre ensemble, nous ka ça secouer la main, nous ka ça parler avec yon a l'autre tous les deux langages là puis nous ka parler bon patois tout.
And today, SAT Telecoms officially launched a new promotion for its loyal customers. Chief Executive Officer of SAT Telecoms explains.
The wheel of change is here at SAT, with rewards for all our customers. All SAT customers who pay their bill will receive 26 free channels and be in with a chance to win their share of $15,000 worth of prizes. SAT are rewarding their customers for their loyalty by offering the new Loyalty Plus plan for free to all customers who pay their bill. The new plan is worth $30 but is free for a limited period, including 4 Discovery channels, True TV, TLC and One World Sports, meaning there is something for everyone. In addition, SAT customers will receive a chance to win a share of the $15,000 prize giveaway, with fantastic prizes to include 7-inch tablets, BlackBerry smartphones, food vouchers and lots more. The draw dates will be communicated on SAT's local channels over the coming days and weeks.
This has been the local segment of the news. Coming up next, regional highlights.
The wheel of change is here at SAT. New and exciting rewards just for you. SAT customers, simply pay your bill and get the new Loyalty Plus plan for free. That's 26 channels absolutely free for a limited period. Yes, you heard me, free. And if you do pay your bill, you'll have a chance to win big with SAT TV. Up to $15,000 in prizes are up for grabs. 7-inch tablets, BlackBerry smartphones, food vouchers, and much, much more. Get more from SAT TV, the people's choice. SAT terms and conditions apply.